She lost her brother to a terrorist attack, but instead of breaking, Eliana Mandel Bronner is building hope for others. And now she's helping hundreds of families find hope in the aftermath of terror. On today's show, you'll hear her story of resilience and courage as the head of the Koby Mandel Foundation. Eliana, thanks for joining us here on Judeacation on JNS TV.
Thank you for having me.
Just to expand on exactly who you are and what you do, you're the executive director of the Koby Mandel Foundation, which provides therapeutic support, community building, opportunities, and educational initiatives to help individuals and families cope with the devastating impact of terrorism. Let's start by talking about the Koby Mandel Foundation and all your important work.
So the Koby Mandel Foundation was started by my parents, Seth and Cherry Mandel, 24 years ago after my brother Koby was brutally murdered together with his friend Yosef Ishran in Nachal Tkoa. They were two 13-year-olds. They went for a hike in our backyard, and they were stoned to death. It was on a Tuesday, and they weren't found until Wednesday morning, so that everybody searched all night. And when they found them, they came to tell my parents. And the first thing my father said was, I am not going to let them ruin my family. I will not let the Palestinian terrorists win. And that was the direction that my parents took from the beginning. So you're allowed to cry, and you're allowed to be sad, and you're allowed to be happy, and you're allowed to have all of the feelings. You're even allowed to be angry at Hashem. But we will not let them win. And so from the beginning, my parents knew that they wanted to do something in Koby's memory, and they didn't know exactly what. And then we went back to school. I have a brother who was 12, Daniel, and I was 10 at the time. I have another brother who was 6. And every time we came home from school, we told our parents stories about what happened to us in school. And I have a distinct memory of sitting behind my chair during recess and looking at my friends and watching them play and not understanding how it's possible that they are still kids and they can play regularly, and my life has been shattered, and I didn't feel like a kid anymore. I felt like I had responsibility, and I was holding the entire world on my shoulders. And one day I had a fight with my friend, and like an hour later I came back to her and I said, listen, I'm so sorry that I fought with you. I'm just having a really hard time because of Koby. And I'm going to remind you, 5th grade girls. And she looks at me and she says, Eliana, we're all having a hard time because of Koby. That's not an excuse.
Wow.
So when I went home and I told my parents what happened to me and all the stories, they realized that what kids like me and my brothers needed were other kids who understand us. And so the Koby Mandel Foundation started as a camp for bereaved children who lost a mother, father, sister, or brother in a terror attack. And it grew and grew from the need of the families. So it started just with the camp, and then it went on to retreats and support groups and all different kinds of programming for the entire family to be together, to be with people like them who understand them.
I remember when the foundation started, you had the first, let's say, 20 years or so, if not a little bit more, and now you have a period where terrorism, for a better choice of words, literally exploded on October the 7th. How have things changed in terms of the work you do at the foundation now that so many more families have been hit by terrorism, affected by terrorism, and unfortunately so many soldiers have died defending the state of Israel?
So October 7th was a huge turning point for us. We more than tripled in size. We have over 2,000 families that we help now. Our camp, we had 750 kids. So it's become huge. The war made it so that it was so big and the numbers were so big that nobody on their own could deal with it. So there are all different kinds of organizations in Israel and the government itself that stepped in to help. And we felt that what's special about us and the way that we can help is just by being there for them and doing what we've always been doing. So at the first 3 months, we were really checking ourselves to see if what we've been doing for the past 20 years is still what's needed. And we went to families and we talked to them, and we realized that that's exactly what's still needed, that that's what they're looking for. They are looking for they're looking to meet people like them who understand them, people who've gone through the same thing, and to gain strength from them and to gain perspective from them and to gain hope from them. So at the beginning, we started with just a retreat a week for bereaved families. And we started with a retreat for bereaved mothers, and we had about 12 bereaved mothers come because they didn't know us yet. And then the second one, we had a retreat for widows the week after that. And there were 15 widows. And the week after that, there were already 20. And the week after that, we had to open up a different group because for the next week of the same people, because it was getting so big and we wanted to keep it intimate. So we had 17 weeks of just giving them a place to be together. We had therapists on site. We had massages. We had good food. And we had art and therapy, and just gave them the opportunity to be together in a healing space. And now that was the beginning,
Right.
and we just haven't stopped. We have retreats for bereaved mothers and for widows, and our retreats are getting bigger and bigger, and we try to keep it as intimate as possible. So we've just had to double and do more and more and more. Our staff, we had 5 staff members before October 7th,
Mhm.
and now we have 16 staff members. We're getting 4 Bnot Shirut, national service girls, and we're just expanding and trying to help as much as possible. Because what these families have gone through is so difficult. Their lives have literally been completely destroyed, and they have to rebuild. It's not, there's like, people say, oh, you have to move on, you have to move on, you have to keep living. It's not keep living. It's you have to learn how to live this new life. And that's what we're trying to do, trying to give them hope and give them tools to learn how to live this new life that they've been thrown into.
So you're talking about the summer camp, which you have each summer, in addition to the retreats, which are all year long for the widows, for the orphans. Talk about your year-long activities.
So it's divided into what we have for kids and what we have for adults. So for kids, we have the summer camp, and then they meet again on Hanukkah, and they meet again on Pesach. And in between, they meet in their core groups, in their age groups. So just smaller groups that their counselors organize. We have 100 volunteer counselors who come to our camps, and they stay in contact with the kids throughout the entire year. So there's contact throughout the entire year with the kids. And we also have chugim. So we have dog training. We have, for the kids, we had some like technological thing that we did with them, just giving them that space to be together. So it doesn't really matter what the fun activity is. What matters is that they're together, and once we bring them together, the magic happens and they just start talking. So they can walk into a room and be like, oh, why are you here? You're here because your father passed away? Oh, I'm here because my father was killed. And it's something that they can't talk about anywhere else and feel understood. So they get to come and be together and have that relationship throughout the entire year. That's for the kids' world. And then for the adults, we've basically divided up into bereaved mothers, widows, bereaved fathers, widowers, and we also help bereaved adult siblings and adult orphans. So orphans who are 18 and over, and bereaved siblings who are 18 and over. And once a month, we have a program for each of these groups in different locations around the country. So we have up north, we have down south, we have in the center, and we have in Jerusalem. So it's a lot. But really, everything that we do has the purpose of bringing them together. We have a therapist in each of these groups. Usually it's a therapist that stays with them throughout the entire year. So there's that continuation, and the discussion moves on the way that, in a natural way, the way that they would want it. And there's always something fun. There's always, unless it's like a proper support group, there's always either artwork or woodwork or ceramics or cooking or making cocktails we did before Purim. So, and for us, fun is part of it. I've had a camper come up to me years later and say, I want you to know that the only time my family was able to have fun I was able to have fun and like go and do things was in Camp Koby because my
Wow.
parents couldn't do more than the basics.
You said it was a lot, but obviously, absolutely, unfortunately necessary at this juncture. I want to put you on the spot if I can. You said you were 10 years old when your brother was murdered. Hashem Yikam Damo, may God avenge his blood. What are some of the memories you have about your brother? Perhaps things that people who didn't know him personally may want to hear about, something that you want to share about him. He was how old when he was murdered?
So Koby was 13.
13 and you were 10.
I was 10. Yeah. And
So-
he's the oldest.
Right. What do you
Um,
remember?
So I have a memory of us walking in the park together. And he held me under his arm and gave me a nuggie. And one of the women in our community said to him, "Stop that. Stop bothering your sister." And he said, "She's my sister. I'm allowed to do whatever I want." And I had like a few core memories. These three memories that stuck with me. But it was also for me as a kid, it was like, stop making him into stories. He's so much more than just stories. He was a kid in 8th grade, so he was annoying and he was obnoxious and he was my brother, so he was everything. Like making him into stories was very was upsetting for me and for my brothers because it made it like you're taking a whole human and putting him up into stories. But I had those 3 stories that I always that those were the stories that I gave. Like one of them is when I was like 3. My family went on the escalators in the mall, and it was my mother and my brothers and I, and they all got on the escalator and went down. And I was so afraid to get on the escalator and fall or get my foot stuck, and so I just stayed there and I watched them all go down the escalator. And my mother said, send Koby back up to get me. He was 5. No, he was 4 years older than me. So he was 7 at the time. And he grabbed my hand and he said, "Eliana, we're going to do this together. 1, 2, 3." And we went down the escalator together. And just recently on Koby's 24th yahrzeit, my best friend, sent me a text and she said, "I just remembered a story about Koby."
Wow.
And I was like, I can't believe she's giving me this story after all I had were like these 3 stories. And she said that when I was in 4th grade, I broke both my arms. And he met her at the makolet, at the store near our home. And he said to her, "What are you standing here laughing? Your friend just broke both her arms. Come and help her. Come and do Bikur Cholim." And he dragged her to my house to do Bikur Cholim because he was worried about me.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was like a little nugget that I got now.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Going back to the work of the foundation, how do the families in need find you? How do you make that match? Is it something that you guys seek families or they know about you? How does it work that they find you and then start attending the programming?
So at the beginning of the war, we had social workers go out to families and tell them about us and ask and see how we can help them. But now they just hear about us. We're on social media. We have flyers sent out, and what happens now is that other bereaved families go to visit at Shivas, and they tell them about us without us even it has nothing to do with us. It's not something that we asked them to do. They're just trying to help the other family, so they tell them about us, and we have families call us during the Shiva to ask to sign up and to ask to come to programs and to hear more about it.
You mentioned before that the government is involved in helping victims of terror. How extensive is their help and how much are they actually helping the Koby Mendel Foundation?
So they give us a grant a year. It's about 1% of our income. 99% is donations. But they give help directly to the families. But we're very grateful for that one grant that we do get.
And I know your parents ran the foundation for many years, and then you took over the reins, and I know they're still very much involved, but you essentially grew up with the foundation as part of your life. How was that for you to take over, and what was the impetus that caused you to want to take over the foundation?
So I took over as the director of the Kobe Mandel Foundation 4 years ago.
Hmm.
So that was at the end of Corona, pre-war. I had no idea what I was really getting myself into, but I was a camper at the camp. I was the first camper of Camp Koby. I was a counselor. I was a head counselor. I was the programs director. I went through all of the stages at the foundation until I left eventually and went to work somewhere else. And then the executive director, Roy Engstreich, decided to retire,
Hmm.
and I felt that that I just needed to take his place. That there needed to be a Mandel there,
Right.
and somebody who understands, and somebody who's been through all the stages. So just it felt natural to me to take over.
One of the biggest events that you have at least twice a year, I think now it's 3 times a year, is the Comedy for Kobe shows, in which some of the top U.S. stand-up comedians in the U.S. come over and they spend a week at a time here, not only touring the country, which is an unbelievable initiative in terms of Israel's PR, but they also perform to audiences in Modi'in and Tel Aviv and Ra'anana, Gush Etzion, and I'm sure in Beit Shemesh. I'm sure I'm missing a few others. So, and I think over the last 20 years, I might have only missed 2 or 3 shows, by the way, you should know.
Very impressive.
Very big fan of Comedy for Kobe. But talk about that initiative in case somebody's been, I don't know, living under a rock and hasn't heard about the unbelievable project this is, bringing such high-level comedians. I'm talking about people who are on the David Letterman show and Jay Leno and all these shows to Israel and performing for Israeli audiences. Talk about that whole experience.
So Comedy for Kobe was started by Avi Lieberman. He came to my parents at the time and said, listen, I have this initiative. I want to bring American comics to Israel to show them the country and to fundraise money for an organization. And I love your organization and I want to do it. And my father said, let's do it. So for the past over 15 years, Comedy for Kobe has been happening. And every time Avi Lieberman brings 3 comics to Israel, and they perform all over the country, and they get to tour all over the country. And that raises money for the Kobe Mandel Foundation. And it also has the benefit of allowing non-Jews from the diaspora who are in Hollywood to come and learn about Israel. So it's really amazing. And Avi brings the top tier comics every time. They're really, really amazing. The people who come to Comedy for Kobe are really spoiled when it comes to comics because they have the top coming. So it's really amazing. And for this Sukkot, Elon Gold is coming back. We're very thankful to him for coming, and we're going to hopefully raise a lot of money for the Kobe Mandel Foundation with the help of Elon Gold and Abi Lieberman.
Elon Gold is tremendous. I saw him, I think, a year or 2 ago in Jerusalem, and he's hysterical. I mean, he is a famous comedian. He was on the show Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. I mean, he's a top-notch comedian. He's been all over.
Everybody loves him. He's Jewish. He's hilarious. Really, he's so good, and we're just so grateful for him that he's willing to come and do it as part of Comedy for Kobe.
Switching gears here just a little bit, this show is called Judeacation, and you yourself are a resident of Judea in eastern Gush Etzion. Just give people a sense of life these days, living in Judea and Samaria with everything going on in the world, all the craziness we're experiencing, a war on 7 different fronts. What's it like now for somebody living and just trying to raise their family day to day in eastern Gush Etzion?
So I live in Tekoa, which is a beautiful, beautiful community. We live right on the wilderness. Like I have the canyon of Tekoa right outside my window. I see the Herodian from my other window. Like it's gorgeous and beautiful where I live. We're also surrounded by Arabs. But the funny thing is, thank God we are very protected. We are one of the most dangerous places to live in Gush Etzion. But on the other hand, we are the most protected place to live. So the drive to Tekoa could be a little scary if you don't know the roads. But once you get in, you feel very, very safe and protected. And we've been laughing about how, yes, during like regular times when it's not a war, it's very dangerous. It's considered very dangerous to live in Judea and Samaria, and you're surrounded by Arabs, and it's very scary. But during the war is when we're the most protected, and everybody should come live, come live with us because thank God we don't have rockets flying at us, and it's relatively calm where we are. So It's like the opposite of during war, come to Judea and Samaria.
It's kind of counterintuitive, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Are
And
you,
we're very lucky to be still building in Tekoa.
right.
Like we're building houses and we're building, and the community is growing and growing. So it's amazing.
The beer festival's coming up.
The beer festival.
Tekoa Beer Festival. It's always on my calendar. That's great.
Margot is coming to sing.
Right. Tekoa is a happening place. I love Tekoa. Are you optimistic about the future? I mean, you see daily, you see and you work with and you experience what bereaved families, yourself included. Are you optimistic about the way the state of Israel is heading? Are you optimistic about the future?
I believe in Hashem. I believe that we are part of history. We are mamish living history right now. I'm very, very grateful to be on the side of light in the history. I think it's very, very clear. It's so clear that there's a dark and there's a light, and who's part of the light and who's part of the dark, at least in my eyes. And I think we're at the Atchalta de Geula. I hope, I pray. I don't know what's gonna be, but I hope that Hashem has good things planned for us. And that I know that none of this was for no reason, that there's a reason for everything. And being part of the Jewish nation isn't easy, but it's a zchut. It's
a privilege.
It's a privilege.
Right.
It's mamash a privilege to live a life of meaning. And I think that the bereaved families that I've seen feel the same way. No one feels that it's for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a purpose here. And when you speak to the families of the Nova specifically, the Nova was a music festival, and there's a lot of feeling of like, my kid just went to have fun. They weren't a soldier fighting in the war. My kid just went to have fun, to dance and to celebrate life, and then they were so brutally murdered. But there's a connection of the souls ever since then. Like when you talk to the families, when I talk to the families, they feel the souls of their loved ones with them, and when I'm talking to them, I feel the soul of their loved one with us too. So there's that connection between this world and the next world. Something is going on, something is happening. We're living in history, and I'm hopeful that something will become clear, and we'll be able to see what we lived through all of this for, and what we're living through all of this for.
That was very, very powerful. I'm grateful that you shared that. If people want to get involved in the Koby Mandel Foundation, what is the best way? Come to a Comedy for Koby experience. What would you suggest for people who are watching and listening 5,000 miles away, or even if they're here in Israel watching this?
So anybody who's here in Israel, definitely come to Comedy for Koby. It's worth your time, and it's a great way to donate to the foundation. And donations as well are amazing. And if you're looking to volunteer, if you have a background in social work, or if you're a psychologist, or if you're just looking, if you have a few hours a day that you want to give, definitely contact us at kobymandel.org, and we'll find a way to connect you.
Such an important initiative, such an important organization. I want to thank you so much, Eliana Mandel Bronner. Thank you for being with us here on Judeacation, and keep up doing the holy work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And this has been another edition of Judeacation here on JNS TV. My name is Josh Haston, correspondent for JNS News. I want to thank the people behind the scenes: Zach Sickerman, Ryan Lifshitz, Esther Eden, producer Yuri Sversky. And make sure you log on to JNS TV on YouTube for all the great programming JNS has to offer. And make sure you go to jns.org for all the latest breaking news from Israel, the Middle East, and the entire Jewish world. We'll see you next week.